Hi again, and welcome to Module 4 of Navigating Computer Systems. This module is named Advanced Command Line Usage. As the name suggests, in this module, you will learn advanced techniques for using the command line. In this module, you'll have, as usual, an assigned reading, an activity, and a quiz. For the assigned reading, you'll be reading Chapter 5 from the provided Linux User Guide. This covers a lot of content, so I recommend just skim through it the first time and kind of get an idea for where different content is in the chapter, and then refer to it as you're working through the module and maybe read deeper when you get to that portion of the module. If you'd like to go even deeper, you can read the Unix Programming Environment, Chapters 3 and 4. These really go into how to use the shell and more about all the filters that you're going to be learning about. For the activity, as usual, there's going to be 4 scenarios. Scenario 1 is called Hacking Your Shell, Scenario 2, Process Management, Scenario 3, Building with Blocks, and Scenario 4 will look at text processing. Scenario 1, Hacking Your Shell. In this scenario, you're going to learn how to customize the shell and learn more about environment variables that are going to be used in your shell. So the commands that you're going to get experience with are the history commands, which keeps track of all of your history of commands that you've executed within the shell. Export command will set an environment variable. An environment variable is a variable that is used in your shell throughout the shell session. So examples would be the path variable. A path environment variable is going to give the path to where programs are run from. There's a home environment variable that will tell you the home directory of the current user. So you'll learn about all these as you go through the reading, and you'll get a chance to explore the path variable and things like that. Another thing that you're going to do is use the alias command. You already used this when you installed your virtual machine to set an alias for Eclipse, but you're going to do a few more aliases for the ls command and the rm command to make them a little bit more user-friendly. You're also going to look at the date command as well. In order to set an alias, we're going to set the alias in what's called the bashrc file. The bashrc file is a run control file, and it's just a file that is executed every time the shell is started. So that way this is where you put commands that you want to be executed right when you open up your shell. It's used for customizing. So I'm going to show a quick example of how to create an alias. This is not in the scenario, but I think it's a useful alias to have when you're connecting to Onyx. So if I go over to my virtual machine and I open a shell, if I ls, I can see all the files in my home directory. If I use ls-a, I can also see hidden files. So right here, I can see that I have a .bashrc file. This is the file that I want to edit. So I'm going to use the editor called Vim. You could also use kwrite if you're more familiar with that. So I'm going to say vim tilde, which is my home /.bashrc. And in here, I can see the alias that I already created when I installed this virtual machine. I'm going to add a second alias so that when I want to SSH or log into Onyx, I just have to type Onyx at the terminal instead of SSH-y Marissa Schmidt at onyx.boisestate.edu. So if I do alias Onyx equals single quote, and then just the command that I would type. So SSH-y, my username is Marissa Schmidt at onyx.boisestate.edu, single quote. Now if I save this file and I refresh it, the way that we refresh it, which you'll read about, is to say source ~/.bashrc. Now I have a command built into my terminal called Onyx. Onyx is an alias for the full command of SSH, -y Marissa Schmidt at onyx.boisestate.edu. And it looks like I am not connected to my internet, unfortunately, so let me go ahead and reset my network. Hopefully it'll only take a second. Perfect. So now if I type Onyx, it will take me to the prompt and I can log into Onyx. So I'm not going to enter my password here, but that can be super useful for you in this class and for the rest of your courses throughout your CS career. All right, so that'll be it for scenario 1. Scenario 2, you'll learn about process management. All programs are run as processes, and each process has a unique process ID. What you'll learn about in this scenario is how to send signals to processes to start, stop, and pause them. You can also send them to the background so that they're running and you can execute other programs. The commands that you'll use to manage processes are PS, which will list out all the processes running on the system. Kill will send a signal to a process. Sleep is a command. It's not really managing a process, but we're going to use the command so that we can explore how the processes work. FG is for foreground. We can bring a process to the foreground. Control C will stop a process. Control C will terminate a process. Control Z will stop or pause a process. In scenario 3, building with blocks, we're going to introduce the pipe operator. The pipe operator is useful when you want to create complex commands because you can use it to chain commands together. For example, you can send output of one program as input to another program. So the commands that you're going to be chaining together using the pipe operator are sort, which will sort output or sort text line by line. grep will search through output. WC is word count, which also includes the number of lines in output in a file. Cat will print out the output of a file. LS will list the contents of a directory. We've seen that before. We're also going to look at filters like sed and awk. So sed is a stream editor. It stands for stream editor. Its main use is to read lines one at a time and then apply commands to those lines. So you can do things like replace all instances of hello with goodbye. You can print 5 lines of the output instead of all of them. You can delete lines. Awk is actually a full programming language based on a language called C, and it's used for text processing as well. So one of its main benefits that you're going to use in the scenario here is to split lines into fields. So if you have a comma-separated file, you can split on commas and create fields easily using this tool. You'll also see the who command, which you've seen in past scenarios, which will tell you who is logged into a system. You'll see the last command and PS. So the PS is the process one from before, so you can list out processes. So you're going to be piping output from one command into the input as another command, which is really awesome. You can do some pretty cool things. I'll show you when we talk about scenario 4 the power of this, but for now we're going to move on and talk about scenario 4. In scenario 4, text processing, you're going to use a lot of the same tools that you used in previous scenarios. A new one is going to be wget because you're going to have to download a file from the internet. You actually saw this in previous modules. You're going to use grep, which we saw. We're going to use awk. We're going to use sort, which will sort output. A new one is going to be called unique. So unique will find unique values. If you have 5 lines that say hello, it would group those into just one instance of the word hello. Cat will output the contents of a file, and as we saw before, sed is the stream editor. So what you're going to do as the final scenario, the final program that you write, or the command that you write, it's going to be a big long command, is you're going to find the top 5 albums from a music playlist sorted by the number of tracks within the album. So we're going to give you a CSV file that contains artist, album, title, duration. You're going to have to use all these commands and pipe them together to find the top 5 albums by the number of tracks. If you took CS 121 before you took this, if you had a chance to take that course, you actually use Java to work with text files and do something very similar. So you use scanners to open up the file, then you used a scanner to read it line by line, you used a scanner to break that line into fields, and then you had to do processing that way. We're going to write a whole program on one line that does the exact same thing, which is pretty cool. So it'll show the power of pipes. So what I'm going to do right now, just to kind of give you a head start, just so you can see how this might look when you work on that scenario, is do something similar, but it's going to be slightly different. So I'm going to come over here onto my virtual machine, and inside of my directory here, I have in module 4 a file called serial.csv. So if I open up serial.csv, I can see that I have a list, comma-separated values of a bunch of serials. So it's going to be the name of the cereal, followed by the calories, followed by the grams of protein, the grams of fat, the grams of carbs. My goal is to find the top 3 cereals with the lowest carbs. Okay, so the top 3 low carb cereals. What am I going to do here? So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually just going to print this data to the console. So if I say cat cereal.csv, cool, I can see the output. So when I run this cat command, I want to cat the output, but instead of printing it directly to the console, I want to pipe it into another program. So I'm actually going to refine my program further here, and I'm not just going to find the 3 lowest carb cereals. I'm going to find the 3 lowest carb cereals with bran in the name, right? So if I have 100% bran, 100% natural bran. So my first step is going to be, okay, let's search for all of the cereals that have bran in the name. So I can cat cereal.csv, and I'm going to pipe the output of that into the grep command. So I'm going to output it and then search for bran. And it is case sensitive. So if I use a capital B, it would find them. I can't remember how to make it case insensitive, so what should I do? I honestly don't remember right now off the top of my head. I can use the man command. So if I say man grep, and if I search through, I can see ignore case. So if I use -I, it will ignore case. So if I do Q, if I change my command here, change this back to a lowercase b and do grep -I, it will find them even if it's uppercase. Okay, so step 1, I accomplished that. I've narrowed down, or I've filtered my data to only contain cereals that contain the word bran. So then I want to find only, I'm just focusing in on the carbs, right? I don't really care, because of my program, what I'm trying to do. I don't care about the calories. I don't care about the protein. I don't care about the fat. I want to know what the carbs are only. So my next filter is going to be to just print out the name of the cereal and the number of carbs. So my output, I'm going to print the number of carbs first, followed by the name of the cereal. To do this, I can use awk. So awk is great when you want to separate data into fields. And I'm just going to keep chaining this command together, because I still want to use just the output of only the bran cereals. So I'll pipe the output of that grep into awk. So I'm going to say awk -F defines the field separator. So it's going to be separated by commas. And then I'm going to say that I want to print $5. Why am I doing 5? Well, because it's field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the field that I want to focus on, which is the carbs. And then I said I want to print the carbs, followed by, I'm going to separate by colon, the name of the cereal, which is in field 1. So $1 is the placeholder for field 1. If I hit enter, awesome. Now I can see that I've filtered my data. I've just changed the output. I've separated my comma separated line into just extracting the number of carbs, the name of the cereal, and changed the formatted output. So now it's number of carbs, colon, the name of the cereal for all of the cereals that contain bran. Am I done? Well, not with how I define this. I said that I want to find the lowest carb cereals. In order to do that, I'm going to sort the output from lowest to highest. Right now, you can just see it's whatever order they were in the file. So it's 5, 8, 7, 8. So I'm going to hit the up arrow. That's what I've been doing so that it saves my command. Actually, I should note that so that I don't have to type it every time. I hit the up arrow. I pipe that output that I just generated into the sort command. So if I say sort, if I just say sort, notice it's sorting alphabetically. So it's starting with the 1, 0 is higher. So it's saying 10 is higher than 11, which is higher than 13. 5, 7, 8 come down here. I don't want to sort that way. I want to sort numerically. So I want it to treat that field as a number. So I want to say sort minus n. Now it sorts it by numbers. So 5, 7, 8, 8, 10, 10.5, 11, 13, etc. Okay. So then the final step, I said that I want to see the top 3. Well, let's just change that to, let's just do the top 5, because why not? So if I hit up, I want to now pipe the output of that command, so the sorted output, and just extract lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in order to do this, I can use the sed command. I can say sed minus n, and then, oops, I hit enter too soon, so I'll do Control C to kill that, and then continue. Lines 1 through 5, and P for print. So we can see here, 100% brand, all brand, 100% natural brand, all brand, etc. Okay. So this is pretty cool. If I were to write this in Java, I would have to create a class. I'd have to create a main method. I would have to create multiple scanners. I would have to compile it and run it, that whole process. Here, it's just a quick proof of concept. I can quickly run it, quickly get it done. Okay. And that will be it. So your scenario, like I said, is similar to that. So hopefully that will help you just use some techniques. I would recommend break it into pieces like that and just do one step at a time so you can see the output between each pipe. When you're done with scenario 4, just quick reminder here, don't forget to take the quiz as usual. And just a reminder, you can take it twice if you don't like your score the first time around. That's it. I hope you enjoy this module. I think this is one of the most fun ones. It can also be kind of frustrating since you're new to all this, but I think it's really awesome. It's kind of a cool puzzle to solve and just challenge you a bit. So don't forget to reach out if you have questions. Enjoy.